sometime in 2 weeks, Adam Carolla may be late getting here, but we're lucky. He may be late. He may care about his reputation here at the Comedy Store. I don't know. But he's a funny man. I sure hope we get him later tonight or next week. But we're working the main room, and he's terrific. Right now, though, we're lucky to have a comedian from Canada with us right now. And we're going to get to know him. He comes highly recommended. His name is Jason Rouse. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason, nice to have you here.
Very nice to see you.
Tell me where you developed in Canada.
I started my career, actually, June of this year will be my 25th anniversary. Wow. I started in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.
In '95.
Was it the Punchline? Was that the name of it?
No, it was in Gastown. That was a club, and I remember this was like the go-to club. I'd moved from one end of the country to the other to start my career. I seen Jim Carrey's biography, and I was totally mesmerized of, okay, this is a blueprint of how to kind of do this at a Jedi level. So I'll just kind of use this blueprint and take this to Vancouver and start my career. So I moved to Vancouver and just started doing open mics and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's been a while. I've been living in LA now 12 years now.
Okay. Well, back when I was young, they used to fly us up to Vancouver to do the Alan Thicke show.
Okay.
Which is Robin Thicke's father.
Yeah.
And he was like the Johnny Carson of Canada. Mm-hmm. And then while we were there that weekend, we would perform punchlines.
Yeah.
And it was a great 350-seat room in Vancouver. Great crowds. Yeah. And the strongest damn beer I've ever had in my life. I loved every minute of it, man.
Yes, and such a short flight. I'm always shocked on how many people live in California and never really go to Vancouver. It's a beautiful place,
it's fantastic.
And it's a very short distance.
Yeah, and you just attracted 2 royals to.
I've been watching a little bit of that. You know, my grandfather's from England, grandmother's Irish, so there was always, royal family plates and things around the house and stuff. So the references that I have of the royals is probably from the 80s, and now there's an insurgence because he's taken up residency in Canada.
Yeah. Apparently they got in on an unskilled labor visa.
Oh, really?
But they were demoted.
Yeah.
I think the Queen is thinking about taking away Duke and Duchess title and making him an earl. That was the latest report.
What was the attraction for him to be in Canada? Is he just trying to separate himself from the politics of his family and kind of create his own destiny? It's very Game of Thrones-y, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I had the impression that Meghan was very unhappy in London.
Really?
And Kate Middleton would always be the queen bee.
Sure.
And she's a 5th lead actress on Suits, and she doesn't need to live like that.
Sure.
No. And so she pressured him into moving, and so now she's the diva joke, and Harry is the. Is
she American? Is his wife American?
Yes.
That's oddly.
Is she multiracial? Her father's white, her mother's African American.
And she's from the United States, and she's married to a British royal. Yeah. And she's chosen Canada as a destination.
Well, they said they're going to commute to Vancouver and London and back, and Vancouver and Los Angeles and back.
There's plenty of room.
Yeah.
The country's massive, and there's no one in it. It's no one in it. You drive an hour outside of any major city in Canada, and it gets trailer park boys in a hurry. It does. We have our own kind of banjo playing in the rural parts of British Columbia.
Yeah.
And Burt Reynolds is never going to save you out in Winnipeg, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, what I heard was that Harry's going to go there. Mm-hmm. He's on his way. Meghan and the child are in Vancouver Island. I think she sailed across and visited a women's shelter, I think, last week.
Okay.
And Harry already snapped at a Canadian reporter who asked him about his carbon footprint.
We're pretty thorough. We take a lot of pride in the environment. They say the quickest way to find out who's Canadian in the room is throw some garbage on the ground.
Well, he was angry. He thought they were referring to his wife. But I'm I'm obviously straining here.
This is the show right here. This is the you can't.
Well, tell me what you like to talk about on stage.
I talk about the most vile. See, I've been, you're probably one of the 5th most comedians I've watched here over the last 12 years at the Comedy Store, and anybody who's familiar with my work, we are very worlds apart in subject matter and stuff. And I gravitate towards the things that people are horrified and
talk about it.
And terrible, terrible, terrible things.
Be the change of pace. Tell me about it.
I just have like these very weird things about being in relationships with comatose geriatric hospital patients, and who she becomes pregnant, but we can't afford to keep it, so I keep it in a jar on the fridge. Not all the time. Sometimes Daddy goes to the casino and he likes to wear his Lucky Charm. Handicap parking.
Yeah, you tell me about handicap parking.
And you, around the holidays, I give it a little shake in the bottle, and it looks like one of those Santa Claus. It's terrible. It's terrible. I know. Listen, and I don't know why I'm humbled by this, because you're such a nice guy.
Oh no, I love this stuff.
I know. Hey, listen, I'm very aware of your history. You were in the belly of the beast in this comedy spectrum.
Literally, I was in the belly of the beast.
So you grew, you've outlived your predecessors who were very, we'll call them big personalities.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, some real deal wild men.
Well, who's the big one now, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
I know, I feel like a Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, I tell you, the sick humor doesn't bother me at all.
No, and I didn't think it would.
Because I was raised in, out of college and into L.A. There was this free speech time in the 70s, okay? From about Watergate through the bicentennial, from about, just about to the time of 1980, when there was really free speech. And the thing that all the comics read and that all the people in show business and avant-garde people read was the National Lampoon.
Yeah.
Tony Bowley,
Ann
producer, you
Beats
remember.
was one of my teachers.
Who?
Ann
Beats.
Ann
Ann Beats, tremendous writer.
Yeah.
And she was from Canada, wasn't she?
She was.
That's right.
And I was lucky enough
Michael O'Donoghue.
to study sketch comedy with her. And she's like legit. Like they went through some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
They would have, like, for instance, a full-page ad. If you remember, I don't know, Corey wouldn't know this, but the Volkswagen Beetle used to advertise on the fact that it floats, okay? And that would be their big ad. Remember, Tony? That was the ad. And the National Lampoon would have a full page just inside the front cover. And the big headline would say, if Teddy Kennedy had driven a Volkswagen, he'd be president today. It floats.
Yeah. They had a cover with a dog with a gun to its head on the front cover.
Buy this episode or we'll kill this
the
dog.
Yeah.
That was a cover.
I love that shit. That's what would, that Mel Brooks, those are the people that I really reveled in and tried to bring up to the front of modern day comedy.
What I'd like our viewers to know is that the people we're talking about, this is the difference really between liberal and left.
Rebels.
Because the liberals
Punk
were
rock.
free speech, and then sometimes into the 80s it started becoming controlled speech. Okay, political correctness, and you can't say this, you can't say that. And the people from the 70s would have said, screw you to that mindset. And we have ever since.
I think we've lost focus of what intent means. I think a lot of people can very easily frame something and create some other entity out of it very quickly. It gets a lot of traction very quickly, and it's kind of weird. I gave up free health care so I could move to this country to be a part of freedom of speech.
Have you stayed healthy?
Yeah.
See how it works?
I've been very, very lucky. Out of just pure fear, I've been a little more less confident in my crossings the street in Los Angeles. I've almost been killed numerous times.
Well,
Some asshole on their phone.
Don't walk anywhere in Los Angeles.
You want to hear something completely mental?
Yeah.
I've never driven a car in my life.
And you call yourself a Los Angelino.
I know. I've lived here for 12 years.
Get away from these decent
I've
people.
never. I know. Don't look at me.
You're one of the people that's always in the way of slowing us down.
I walk.
And you wear black at night with these orange dim street lights. We never see you. We almost always hit you.
Every day's Halloween.
You're always in the way.
I think I'm just going to start spray painting my face orange and just fit in with the rest of the homeless
Oh no,
people.
they'll think you're Trump and they'll run over you. So, tell me about give us some more dark tales from the crib.
Well, let me tell you, boys and girls. No, I've had a very, very odd career, over the last 20 plus years. I lived in England for 6 years, so immediately before I'd moved to Los Angeles, I was in Europe for a big chunk of that, and I started to go to Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, started to go up, Ireland.
Were you performing at these clubs?
Yeah, doing all these crazy shows from,
They have comedy clubs in Iceland?
They do, and I did one show in Reykjavik, and we had like 1,000 tickets.
What?
We sold 1,000 tickets on.
Is this where they all look like each other?
And there's like 4 girls to every guy. The sun never really goes down. They don't start drinking until like 4 a.m. It was the craziest shit. We're in the bar. It's like midnight on a Friday night. I go, this place sucks. We did the whole Narnia. We looked at geysers, these beautiful volcanic waterfalls with rainbows. Just looked like another planet. Greenest grass you've ever seen, and the darkest, richest volcanic rock you've seen, like side by side. It was just Prometheus. I think they shot a lot of that Prometheus there.
Yeah.
It's
It's like a place that's naturally on mushrooms.
It's totally psychedelic.
Exactly, yeah.
It's legit, man. You do not need any inspiration. That is like, wow, this is so Mars, but familiar at the same time.
But you were there during the summer where it's tolerable.
It was the fall, and they gave me weed in a mason jar. I put it in my rider. I want some fucking grass to smoke to see if what they'd they could pull up to. Because California, this is the mecca of 420 culture. So. These guys, these Icelandic guys, friends of the promoters, bring me this green jar that's kind of like half glowing. Go, we made this. It's from Iceland. They're very proud of it, and it was extremely potent. And I was like, bow down to Iceland there, yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of places. Africa, I've been to Africa 6 times. Dubai, Doha, Spain.
What country were you best received in?
Denmark.
Denmark, okay.
Yeah, the worst was in Holland. I fucking bombed every night in fucking Amsterdam.
Everything's legal in Amsterdam. What's wrong?
Yeah, and my taboo, out there kind of a comedy demeanor. They were like, we've been fucking animals here for 100 years. Wow. Oh, I'm American. I'm a weirdo. They were like. And they just stared. They weren't even angry. I couldn't. 12 people from England sitting at a table dying. 200 Dutch people just like kind of moderately disappointed, like a parent would be, I got a tattoo of I got a face tattoo, and they're, yeah, it was brutal. And I bombed on a TV show in Russia.
Whoa.
That sucked. I should probably tell you, but Denmark's my favorite. I just remember the bad ones the most.
Before we finish, I just want to know, did you have to know any Russian to do Russian comedy?
No, they were taping 3 nights, and 2 Russian nights, and then an international night. So there was 3 or 4 different comedians from like Denmark, Scandinavia mostly. Yeah. So their English was fine. So they had all of us speaking English.
Were you allowed to tell Putin jokes?
No, I don't know what the fuck was going on. That was the most weirdest place I've ever been to in my life.
Well,
in December.
Well, I want to have you back this spring and talk some more about your travels and send some material from you. Because don't worry about this crowd. We've heard it all.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. There's a guy using heroin in the back. So I'm a good company.
Yeah. Give it up for Jason Rouse. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you being